Welcome everyone to the Inland Sports Show. Before we start the show, make sure you like this video and you've subscribed to the Inland Sports Show YouTube channel. And if you're a local business or organization and you'd like to promote yourself on this show, just send us an email, inlandsportsshow@gmail.com. The show starts right now. Garcia's left footed. And what is up, everybody? Welcome to your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show. We're live and amplified here at Teen Vision TV 16. My name is Pep Fernandez. Johnny Nunez directing behind the scenes. We got a great show. We're going to check in with the Moreno Valley High School girls volleyball team going to a CIF Southern Section Championship match for the first time in school history. So we'll check in with the Vikings. We'll also preview the girls soccer season with the Ramona Rams, your D6 champion from a year ago. And of course, a lot of high school football to get to a little bit later. But basketball season is right around the corner. He's one of our favorite guys. He always makes time for us. Right now, joining us here on the show, he is the head boys basketball coach at Centennial High School, the one, the only, Josh Giles. And Coach Giles, when you play at Centennial, man, I know the expectations are high. What's the feeling going into this season, just knowing that these guys that you had in the program that were such a special team, and they were with you for several years, the Jared McCains, Aaron McBride, Devin Williams, of course. I mean, but it feels like it's a new team. I mean, how would you kind of categorize your feelings or the expectations for this team, knowing there's a lot of those familiar faces have moved on to big things?
Yeah, I think it's definitely an adjustment. And so we're kind of in that process right now. The first time we got together in the spring and the first couple games that we had this summer, you're kind of looking around and you're like, man, there's no Jared. Where's Jared McCain at? Where you name the names, where's Aaron? Where's Devin? Where are these guys? I had just gotten over the fact that Donovan Dent and Ramsey Huff had graduated. We just gotten over that. And then now these guys leave. But, Eric Freeney is our he's our returner with the most experience. Carter Bryant has transferred in, and he's a special talented player. And I think the excitement now is, you're not starting over, but in some ways you are, because we have so many new guys. We have 7 sophomores on the varsity team right now. So that kind of excitement of can we do it again? We had to start over a few times, and, you have that, really senior talented group. But when they leave, what do you do with the incoming guys that you have? And so this isn't our first time we've been in this situation. So it's always exciting to kind of see what you can build this group into.
Coach Giles, a football coach once told me this, and I think it's applicable to basketball as well, is that he had a really strong senior class and they graduated, but he said their training camp, their practices going into the season were intense, and the players were focused, and they were working harder than ever because they knew there were minutes to be claimed and starting spots to be earned. And he said it was intense and it was great. He said it was like their best training camp ever because all these seniors had moved on and they knew that it could be their time to step into those roles. What's it like being what have the practices been like going into the season, knowing that a lot of these guys might step into these starting roles or get significant minutes this season?
Yeah, there's definitely been some of that. There's also been the other side of it too, is where they don't know some of the stuff that we've always done. So trying to, teach that and, kind of have to remember, it's been 4 years, since we've had to do some of the things that we're doing right now in practice, as far as the reteaching, just some of the basic concepts of what we're trying to do, both offensively and defensively. So kind of having to go back and do that is a little bit, but it is exciting because it is, it is a new group, and they know, like, okay, last year, if we're being 100% honest, like Aaron, Devin, and Jared, like, Eric Freeney as well, like those guys aren't coming out, so there wasn't a lot of playing time. We didn't sub a lot last year or the year before. And now this year we've got, 8, 9 guys that can play. So that part of it's been a little bit exciting. And yeah, practices have been a little bit, there's definitely times where guys are switching from maybe starting group to second group, things like that, which haven't happened in the last couple of years because there is minutes out there. Outside of a couple of guys, we have a lot of people that are kind of unproven. They have a ton of potential, but potential, that's like the scariest word around, right? It just means you haven't done anything yet. It means you could, but you haven't. You know what I mean? So we have some guys with potential, which just means you haven't done anything yet.
I like that. That's a good take right there, Coach. I've got your schedule up. And there's a bunch of games listed, but it doesn't necessarily say tournaments. I remember we talked last year, and you guys were literally all over the country, and that's not an exaggeration. You guys were all over the place. What's the travel look like this year for Centennial? Do you dial it back a little bit? Do you still try to go to these prestigious tournaments? What's the schedule?
Yeah, the expectations haven't changed. We still have that mantra of anyone, anytime, anywhere. And so that's kind of what we're still sticking to. Now, with that, we don't have 5, East Coast road trips like we did last year, which was brutal. But we do play twice up in the Bay Area. We're still playing in both Hoop Hall events. So we'll play in Hoop Hall West in Phoenix, and then the big one, Hoop Hall East, the Hoop Hall Classic back in Springfield, Massachusetts, the home of basketball. So that'll be that's always a great one. And then we're playing in a tournament in Idaho. So right before Christmas break, we'll go to Boise. And then from that tournament, we actually fly directly to Las Vegas to play in Bishop Gorman's tournament. So we still have some travel: Phoenix, Massachusetts, Boise, Vegas, and then the Bay Area twice.
That's still a lot of travel in my book. Maybe not as much as last year, but still a lot of travel. Coach, when you build your non-league schedule, do you think in mind of terms of, how is this team, what's the best way to prepare it for the CIF Southern Section playoffs and, of course, the state tournament as well? In fact, some of these teams, you might see them down the road in the playoffs, whether it's the section or the state. When you build that schedule, is that what you have in mind?
Yeah, I think, every non-league game, everything that we do, let me backtrack, everything we do has a purpose. So everything that we're doing in practice, we tell them all the time, like, if we're doing a drill, it's not to waste 10 minutes of my life. It's there's a purpose behind the drill. So, and I think that goes for all aspects. So every non-league game, we try to schedule it with a purpose. Why are we going to go play somebody on the road at this particular time? And usually it's 100% based on, does this give us an opportunity to get better? And it is a little bit harder. It is definitely a little bit harder right now, especially after the last couple of years, to schedule non-league. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to get people to play us, especially to get people to play us at home. That's always a tough one to get. But we've had some teams that have stepped up and they're like, yeah, we want to play you guys and we want to play you at home. So that's awesome. And then we still, with all the travel that we have, mixing in those games, playing really good teams on the road, going up to, if you want to win a state title, to me, it makes sense that you make a trip to Sacramento at some point, early in the season. Because if you want to play that game at the end of the year, you don't want that to be the first time you've ever done it. You know what I'm saying? And so we usually try to play one game up north every year, just to kind of, mimic and kind of like mirror what could happen, hopefully, at the end of the year. So we that's one of the reasons why we go up there, and then just really trying to challenge ourselves and see who we can play all throughout the year, just anybody that'll make us better. And I'm a big believer in challenging yourself and making people rise to, the level of expectations.
Well, Coach Giles, if you have challenges, building that schedule, especially the non-league portion, you can just talk to Matt Logan. He goes to do the same thing with the football team, right? Trying to get teams to come out to Corona Centennial and play the Huskies. Yeah.
We actually just had a coaches meeting today, and he and I were talking about a lot of stuff. And that's one of the things that he and I both agree on, is just trying to get out there and competing. If you play a game that, you win by a lot of points, usually those are the games that I'm most frustrated with after the season. You win a game by 30, 40 points, and afterwards you're upset because you didn't play the right way. I'd much rather play, I felt like the last 2 years we've played Duncanville at Duncanville. And both games were amazing basketball games. And we came up just short at the end. We lost by 2, and then we lost by 1 last year. And those were unbelievable games at their place. To me, I felt like we got a heck of a lot better in those games. And it was much more beneficial for us down the road, even though we lost, than if we had played somebody that we beat by 30 or 40. To me, that just doesn't make much sense. So that whole going out there, challenging yourself and trying to, get the best out of yourself, play an opponent that's going to make you work for everything. I think down the road, come March, that's going to help you out more than anything else.
Yeah, totally. That totally makes a lot of sense. Finally, Coach, it's a busy time in the Giles household. You're pulling double duty. You're getting ready for the big basketball season, but you're also a youth football coach. You're kind of balancing the two right now.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I was telling our AD, I was like, I think I spend more time right now doing Corona Chargers football right now than I'm doing Centennial High School basketball. But it's a lot, and I think that's, part of, trying to balance it. And I think, we as coaches, and I think that whole coaching community, like everybody knows and understands how much time it takes. And you do miss things and you are away from your family at times. And, I think coaches' wives are huge. They come through so much during the season. And, when I do have the off season, things like that, I'm trying to not miss any of the games. So this year it's actually been really hard because my daughter, my youngest daughter, is on our Centennial volleyball team that made the playoffs for the first time since like 2011. So trying to get to her playoff games, but then I want to coach my son's football so I don't miss his football stuff. So trying to go back and forth has been a lot. And luckily I have great assistant coaches and they've covered for me a few times this year, but just trying to get to everything, it's not easy, but luckily we have a lot of help.
I feel your pain, and I have a very supportive wife as well that does a lot of the stuff behind the scenes to make this happen. Coach Giles, listen,
right.
You are the best. You always make time for the Inland Sports Show. I really do appreciate it. I know we're only about 2 weeks away from the season, so we'll be hooping it up very soon. Best of luck this upcoming year, Coach.
Yeah, thank you, and I always appreciate you having me on the show, so thank you.
Absolutely. That is Josh Giles, the head boys basketball coach at Centennial High School here on the Inland Sports Show. Thanks again, Coach. We're going to take a quick commercial break here. When we come back, we'll talk Ramona girls soccer with Noemy Castro, the head coach for the Rams, coming off that D6 title from a year ago. We'll be right back on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show.
And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kids Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Boost Performance Training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Rialto, right off the 210 freeway at Ayala Drive. Eat more chicken.
Coaches, want to know the keys to off-season team speed development? Here we go. Phase 1, early acceleration. This should emphasize short sprinting distances from a variety of positions. Phase 2, near max velocity and the start of change of direction. Here you're going to focus on longer sprinting distances and start to incorporate some change of direction. Phase 3, max velocity and COD. In this phase, we'll focus on max sprinting and some consistent change of direction. Phase 4, speed and agility. This is where we put it all together, make it sports specific, and start incorporating it into every speed session. Boost man.
Sports Show is proud to partner with Dr. Marcus Paulson and Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Dr. Paulson and his team work with children, teens, and adults using orthodontic products like traditional braces and Invisalign to make a difference in the appearance, comfort, and function of each patient's teeth. Paulson Orthodontics welcomes new patients, so schedule a visit today. Paulson Orthodontics. We make braces fun.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show, live and amplified at Teen Vision TV 16. We have been doing a lot of high school football, but we're trying to slowly get into the winter sports. A big thanks to Josh Giles, the head boys basketball coach at Centennial High School, for joining us. We also want to talk some girls soccer as well. The season is just a couple weeks away now. They're coming off a CIF Southern Section Championship. Maybe they'll do it again. Let's find out. Let's talk to Coach Noemy Castro and Ivan Sanchez joining us here on the show. And guys, man, just real quick as we reflect back on last season, Coach, going all the way in D6, it was a magical season for Ram High. Going into this year, do you talk to this year's team about that championship season, or do you try to let that season stand on its own and just worry about what's coming up this year?
Well, a little bit of both. I mean, I let them know, like, there's big shoes to fill, of course, and all the stuff we worked on to get to that point, just to keep them in that mindset of what they have to do to get to those to the playoffs and all that. So I do bring it up fairly often, but then I remind them that we're a new team, and we just need to take it day by day. I think we're gonna go with the same motto: take it day by day, game by game, and kind of expect, like how you said, expect another good run this year. But of course, yeah, we do bring it up.
Coach Castro, do you have a lot of returning players? Like, do you have like that nucleus, or is it kind of a lot of new faces on the pitch?
We do have some returning players, thankfully. But again, we have, I think once we graduated like 7 seniors, we were pretty heavy, and they were all a great impact last season. We do have some returners though, but we do have a lot of hungry new players coming in.
And Coach Sanchez, you were along for the ride as well, helping lead Ramona to that D6 championship last year. Obviously it was a special season, but like Coach Castro was just saying, you want to reflect on it and maybe use it as motivation going into this season. But as you prepare for this year, is it kind of the same? Like Coach is saying, there are some returning players, but do you prepare the same? Are the expectations the same? Does it feel different coming off a championship season preparing for this year, Coach?
I think it's a little different, but at the same time, we're carrying over the experiences from last year, especially for the returners, and we do want to have them impact the new players coming in. We do share what it took to win last year and all the hard work that they put in. So I think in that part, we do try to implement that. Like, this is what it takes to get there. If we could get there again, if we put in the same amount of work, and that's for the most part what I can see that we're doing right now.
So guys, I have your schedule up on Max Preps. I don't know if it's up to date, but you're going to kick off the season shortly after Thanksgiving. So in just a couple of weeks. So Coach Castro, back to you on this one. What are some things that you're doing throughout the month of November to get ready for that first game of the year? I assume you've already, gone through tryouts and all that sort of stuff. But, so what do you do from now? Like, you got about a month. What do you do from now to that first match to feel like you guys are going to be ready for this season?
Well, I think kind of just go with the basics, kind of see what they have to bring and what it is we need to work on. Hopefully some of them have been getting the touches in and the keeping up with their running. But in a sense, like for this month, we do have some club players, so we haven't fully got the full team back. But again, I am assured that they've been practicing getting games in. So the players that we do have, just getting the basics, just first touch, second touch, first ball, second ball, kind of just the main basics. And then once we get the whole team, kind of build more on the like set plays and how it is our style of play. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting end of the month because that's when we'll get all our girls. But we're excited.
You know, Coach Castro brings up a great point. So, Coach Sanchez, let me ask you this. You know, especially soccer, and there's some other sports too, like volleyball, where you know the athletes they play basically all year round between the club and the high school, and you know they're always going. So when you get them back for the high school team, Coach Sanchez, do you have to kind of like ease them into it? You know, like they've been playing a lot, like you know you don't want to have tired legs to start the season. Like how do you kind of negotiate, you know, the club season into the high school season and make sure they're still fresh and they're still hungry and all those things?
Yeah, I think that's a very important thing to look at because we do have the club players that come in and they're going hardcore the whole club season. So when we do like conditioning and stuff like that, we got to take that into consideration that they have been putting in the work. So we do ease into it with them. But then we do have other players that haven't really touched the ball all summer. So it just sometimes we modify the drills and just whatever's going to work best for them, as well as injuries. We have some players coming in a little injured, so we make sure they're recovered in time. So when the season comes around, they're ready to go. Otherwise, if we beat on them too much, they might be done for the whole season. So those are very important aspects to look at before season starts and then as season is going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Castro, let me go back to you for this one because you know, when you know what your team is going to look like, at least roster-wise, do you change the way you game plan or the strategy based on, you know, where you look strong at? Like maybe you're going to be great on defense this year, or maybe you got a couple players up top that you feel like you're going to score a lot of goals. Do you change from season to season based on your roster, the way you want to attack or the way you want to play for the upcoming year?
I mean, we try to keep the same like playing style, like our style of play. But of course, we have to adjust with the players that we do get. So it's kind of hard to tell in a sense right now where we're going to be more stronger in the sense of player wise. But again, like I said, a lot of these newcomers, they're hungry. They're hungry to learn. They're hungry to adjust to our playing style. So we're going to try to keep it based on our style of play, but also give them the opportunity to bring their own style into it too, and their creativity. We're not going to limit them as well. So,
you know, Coach Castro, for the returners and the newcomers alike, you know, coming off a championship season, do they come into this year, you know, feeling more hungry, like, you know, maybe more excited going into this year, knowing, hey, we did it last year and it was a lot of fun. You know, can we do it again? Can we go back to back? Do you think that kind of fuels them in terms of going into this year and trying to prove it all over again?
yeah, even just from tryouts and just talking to them beforehand, and like the parent meeting and all that stuff, they're hungry. They're hungry to kind of just get Ramona on the map again. I think that's kind of like their main thing. It's like getting Ramona on the map. But I tell them like kind of like what Coach Hyman and I've been saying, like just you have to do the work. And every year is different, of course, because it's a new team out there, new 11 on the field and subs as well. So kind of just knowing what the goal is, but then also having to work for it. But yeah, they're hungry to get out there, and I tell them just take it game by game, and we'll see where this season leads us. And but yeah, they're definitely hungry, and they talk about it all the time. And they got so excited too when we got our rings. They wear them all the time.
Coach Sanchez, let me ask you this. I'm looking at the non-league schedule right now. And as a team comes together through non-league play, before you get to the River Valley, before you get to the CIF, you know, Southern Section playoffs, of course you play to win the game, but how much is just team building going on during that non-league portion of the schedule? Just to see that the team is getting better. Maybe the results aren't exactly what you want, but at least you feel like the team is getting better before you get to league, before you get to potentially the playoffs. How much, you know, is just that team building taking place during that non-league portion early on in the season?
Yeah, we do take that. I believe we do a lot of not drastic changes, but we do see players in different positions to see what fits better individually and for the team as well, to see if someone can play better as forward, or let's say in the middle and stuff like that, and as well as getting the players that might not be starting, but we need them to be ready, because when we need them to step in, and if they're not ready, then you can see the stress on themselves. And we try to rotate as much as we can. Obviously, everybody wants to win every game, but at the same time, there has to be a building, as you mentioned. Otherwise, you'll have your best 11, and then what happens when one of those pieces isn't there, you know?
Coach Sanchez, real quick, Coach Castro, and you can piggyback off what he just said, but Coach Sanchez brought up a great point. Like during the non-league, maybe putting players out of position to see what they do. I was just curious, Coach Castro, when you get a player that comes into the program, maybe they play center mid on their club team, but they come to you and you're like, oh, we really need you in the back. You're going to play like sweeper. You're going to play like middle back. I mean, how many times do a player come to you and they're like, oh, I'm a forward. And then you're like, nah, I think you're going to be better used on defense or whatever. Does that happen often, or is it usually pretty close to what they think they are?
Yes, we're smiling because it has happened the past couple of weeks where they tell us and we take that into consideration. Of course, we let them play in that position, but we also tell them like, hey, we need an attacker or a winger, whatever it is, to fill in like a starter or just coming in from the bench. But yeah, it's funny, and they're very accepting. They're very like, yeah, I'm open to that, coach, and I'm going to try to play as much as I can. I'm going to ask all these questions. I'm like, that's fine. Questions are good. Like, ask all the questions. But yeah, we do get that a lot. That's why we were smiling, because it's not just one player, it's multiple players. Yeah.
Coach Castro and Coach Sanchez, this is for both of you guys. In basketball, recently, it has been very popular that they want like positionless players. They want players that can do everything. They can shoot, they can rebound, they can handle the basketball, they can block shots, they can do everything. They're positionless. You can put them anywhere, and they're gonna be fine. Is that kind of the same thing in soccer, that when you're you bring your players in, you want to make sure they're strong in everything that they do, whether they need to fill in the back, whether you put them up front because you need a goal, that they just need to be strong in a lot of different areas. Is that kind of the same thing with soccer?
There's certain positions that we kind of want those certain players to be able to, especially in the mid, like to be able like a holding mid or attacking mid, per se. But we kind of just, there's only certain players that we demand that from, or that are capable to do that, and it doesn't determine like their knowledge, or that it's just certain players can do it. Certain players they kind of struggle in a sense, but we do pinpoint those certain players, and then the other players were like, you know what, you're a forward, your job is to score, just focus on that. Like, and defenders too, this is your job. So we kind of go down the lines of like defensive, midfield, and forward. We kind of just say, this is your job, and do your job in a sense. But of course, we do have those key players that are able to play on both ends. And then whatever you see.
Well, I think at practice, we do try to give them as much tools or knowledge as we can to be able to learn different positions. I can speak for that personally. Growing up, I had coaches that were like, hey, the more positions you can play, the more positions you know, the more playing time you'll get, or the more chances you get to play. So we do instill that in them. Like, hey, if you can play, because you do have those players where you tell them, hey, I need you to play left back today. And they're like, oh, well, I'm actually a center mid. And I'm like, oh, I need you there today. Like, can you play there? And they do have like, okay, I guess. But then once they see that, then sometimes they even start liking that position better, and they play there well for us. But yeah, we try to prepare them as much as we can to play in as many positions as possible. But some can do it, some take a little longer, but.
And it always goes to reflect too. We try to get them to do the best they can in the high school, but then we also instill like, hey, if you want to continue playing college, like you're going to need more than one position. And it has happened these past couple seasons where they come and they tell us like, coach, thank you for that, because I'm playing this position now in certain minutes, and then this position in certain minutes. So it definitely helps being knowledgeable on both ends.
Being coachable, being open to these things. Coaches know what they're talking about. Who knew, right? Well, Coach Castro, Coach Sanchez, thank you guys so much for the time. I know soccer season's right around the corner. Again, congrats on last year's championship, and we'll see what you guys have in store for the Rams this upcoming season. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You got it. That is Ramona High Girls Soccer here on the Inland Sports Show. We'll take another quick commercial break. When we come back, we will preview the first round of the CIF Southern Section Football Playoffs. That's next on the Inland Sports Show.
Hey guys, this is Jason at Ken Sporting Goods. We're almost to 1,000 Instagram followers. Tell your friends, like us, come down, see us. Thank you so much for your loyalty.
Hey, what's up, guys? Look who it is. It's Coach Bass, the Boost Man here at Boost Performance Training. My name is Pep Fernandez. We've got another gridiron question for you guys out there. And Coach, we're continuing the series. We started it last time on some of the worst things parents can do to stunt the growth of the athlete in their lives. And of course, they don't want to do that. They're not doing it on purpose. We talked about the worst thing you could do on the last episode, so go check out that video. What's the next one, Coach?
Yeah, Pep, it's definitely too much expectation for other people to help their kids. Look, there are a lot of great coaches out there who can bring real value to your kids' athletic development, but you got to understand that only the student athletes can walk the path. You know, they're the ones that have to put the work in, go to class, and perform on the field. You know, it always kills me to see parents who don't empower their kids with the tenacity to get things done. Instead, they accept the idea that someone else can do it for them. You know, and this is far from the truth. And it's not to say that parents shouldn't invest or rely on coaches who can help with their kids' athletic development. You know, parents should try their best to invest in qualities that can be measured, because this removes all ambiguity in terms of what that coach has actually done for their child, and parents can see real growth. Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you check in for the next Gridiron, where we talk about what you parents can do to help with your child's athletic development.
And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Ken Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Boost Performance Training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Rialto, right off the 210 freeway at Ayala Drive. Eat more chicken.
And we're back here on the Inland Sports Show. It's the first round of the CIF Southern Section Football Playoffs coming up this Friday, and some Thursday games. We got some local teams actually playing on Thursday night as well. Before we actually go headfirst into the first round, let's take a look back at week number 10, and we've got your weekly Inland Sports All-Stars. Here's week 10, and we got 6 good ones, and it's our first week having some repeat winners. We haven't had repeat winners all season long. Sire Gaines from Orange Vista, man, was all over the place to clinch that Ivy League title against the Rancho Verde. Gaines, 153 on the ground, 3 touchdowns, returned a fumble for a touchdown on defense, also had an interception on defense. All around great game. Kyle Shine from Kaiser running wild up in the mountains as Kaiser beat Rim of the World for the San Andreas League title. 188 all-purpose yards and 3 touchdowns for Shine. Hillcrest running back Robert Bustamante, the Trojans getting it done on the ground. 183 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns for Bustamante as Hillcrest locked up second place in the River Valley League. And how about Citrus Valley's Michael Counts? When he scores touchdowns, they go really long. How about 101 yards on a fumble return for a touchdown, and then a 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown? Unbelievable. Michael Counts. Chaparral quarterback Dash Byerly. This might be the single biggest game of the year for Byerly. 300 passing yards, 5 touchdowns through the air, then another 160 rushing yards, and 3 more touchdowns. So 8 touchdowns in all for your boy Dash, as Chaparral won that crazy game against Roosevelt on the free kick. And finally, Patriot QB Isaiah Miramontes helping the Warriors officially punch their ticket to the playoffs. He passed for 214 and 3 touchdowns. He also ran in 2 more scores. That is the one and only Isaiah Miramontes. Those are your Inland Sports Week 10 All-Stars. Now we go to the Big Boost Play of the Week. We just mentioned it. It comes from the Chaparral game. Johnny, let's check that out because seeing is believing. This was pretty crazy. So Roosevelt was punting. Chaparral called for the free kick. The Pumas were down by 1, 57-56. Strange, obscure rule, but it's legal. Free kick from where you do the fair catch for a field goal attempt. I guess it's a field goal. It's a free kick off a tee. It's good. And Chaparral, as time expires, wins 59-57. This play made national news. Everyone was talking about it on social media as Chaparral finishes runner-up in the Big West Upper on that incredible ending against Roosevelt. All right, let's take a look at the Boost Top 25 poll after week number 10. So this is before we go into the playoffs. Not a lot of changes here in the top 25. When you look on number 1 through 10, I don't know if there was any changes, to be honest, coming out of week number 10. They are who we thought they were. And I think we got it right. Now, on the other side, 11 through 25, a little bit of movement. San Jacinto is at number 12, right behind Liberty. Those two will play each other. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. They're going to play each other again. Eisenhower, though, continuing to slowly climb up the rankings. They're now in at number 14. Congratulations to them. We got Tahquitz back in the top 25 as the Titans check in at number 24 officially. So as long as we have a good number of local teams still playing in the playoffs, we'll continue the Boost Top 25. All right. Now let's officially go into the playoffs. We just mentioned it. The Ken Sporting Goods must-see game. Liberty, San Jacinto, the sequel. Bison and Tigers in the first round of the CIF Southern Section Division 5 playoffs. Folks, this was not by accident. The CIF knew exactly what they were doing. This is going to be a huge crowd, huge game, league rivals, and the first time they played, it went down to the wire, and I got a feeling it's going to do the same exact thing. The Bison will be at home. We'll see if the Jack can go on the road and get them this time. They lost only by a couple points the first time they met in Mountain Pass League play just a couple of weeks ago. So it's going to be a big one. San Jacinto and Liberty, first round, Division 5. In the Ken Sporting Goods must-see game. And when you talk about Division 5, we actually got a bunch of local teams in D5. I feel like we always do. We always have a strong D5 contingent. Let's take a look at some of the other big games coming up in the first round, and we'll talk more D5 in just a moment. In Division 2, a couple of our Big West Conference teams. Chaparral will hit the road for Oaks Christian. A little bit of a road trip there for the Pumas. That's going to be a great game. Murrieta Valley, they'll be at home as they take on Damien. That's going to be a sneaky good matchup in Division 2. In Division 5, we got Eisenhower and Orange Vista. The winner of Eisenhower and Orange Vista will play the winner of Liberty and San Jacinto. So we have a massive quarterfinal game on the horizon. Oh, and don't forget, we got Aquinas On the other side of the D5 bracket, they're going to play on Thursday night at Foothill in Orange County. So D5 well represented here in the Inland Sports Show coverage area. In Division 10, Rancho Christian will play Hemet again. That's another Inland Valley League rematch. The Bulldogs won the first time around. They were your Inland Valley League champions for the second year in a row. In Division 11, 2 all-local battles. Hillcrest will hit the road for Linfield Christian in Temecula. And we got San Gorgonio taking on Ramona, which is kind of weird here because I just wish they would put more value in winning a league title. I know a lot of people are griping about these Cal Preps rankings and where they put these teams. It's not perfect, and there's a lot of upset people out there, including San G. You win a league championship, and now you go on the road to a 4th place team who's at large. Listen, I love Ramona as much as the next guy, but you think at least any league champion, whether it's San G or maybe Norte Vista. Norte Vista went 9-1 and won a league title. Now they're going on the road to the top seed. So it's not perfect. So those are some of the big games coming up. Bloomington and San Bernardino as well, another all-local battle. So we got some huge games coming up in the first round of the CIF Southern Section playoffs. We're going to take another quick break here on the Inland Sports Show. Listen, we're going into the first round of the playoffs, but volleyball, it's the championship matches coming up this weekend. We've got a couple local teams that'll be playing in the finals, including, for the first time, Moreno Valley High School. We'll talk to the Vikings when we come back here on the Inland Sports Show.
Coaches, here are 3 keys to building a great speed session. Check it out. Number 1, the dynamic warm-up. This should increase tissue temperature and be specific to the movement you're doing in your session. Number 2, plyometrics. For power development, this should be done right after the dynamic warm-up when athletes are still fresh and should be consistent to the movement you're doing in your session. Number 3, mix technique with application. Your speed session should be reps, 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 followed by mechanics to reinforce good technique, then back to the reps. And remember, always emphasize quality over volume, and greater distances should have lower overall volume. Boost man.
Sports Show is proud to partner with Dr. Marcus Paulson and Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Dr. Paulson and his team work with children, teens, and adults using orthodontic products like traditional braces and Invisalign to make a difference in the appearance, comfort, and function of each patient's teeth. Paulson Orthodontics welcomes new patients, so schedule a visit today. Paulson Orthodontics. We make braces fun. Spin right now. I don't know what's going on. The Brock Purdy magic is over. The defense can't stop anybody. They lost their 3rd game in a row to the Cincinnati Bengals. And on top of that, the Rams got hammered by the Dallas Cowboys. Patrick, I'm coming correct, man. Seattle might be the best team right now in the NFC West. It's painful, but it's the truth.
And now the Broncos snapped a 12-game losing streak to the Chiefs. Unbelievable, this NFL.
Oh, and maybe the best part, the Broncos at the stadium there in Denver played Taylor Swift "Shake It Off" at the end as the players were leaving, like at the end of the game. How amazing is that?
A lot of pressure on that couple, man. Everything. Yeah. She's here. She's not here. Yeah. They're taunting him. It's going to be tough, man.
And Patrick, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the stats prove that the Chiefs are actually better when Taylor Swift is in attendance watching Travis Kelce. I don't know what the win-loss is, but it's been proven they play a lot better. So maybe he's trying to show off and impress her. I have no idea.
Inland Sports.
We are the IE. We work hard. In fact, that's the way we like it. We wake up early, we stay up late to get the job done right. That blue-collar, hard-working mentality is the same reason we have so many successful teams and coaches and athletes in the Inland Empire. We never give up. We are a resilient bunch in the IE. Everything we have, we've earned. No excuses. It's this determined attitude is what powers our small businesses, and that's how championships are won. The Inland Sports Team is looking to team up with other like-minded small businesses in the IE. Together, we can grow. We can be bigger and better. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But we're not looking for easy, just looking for an opportunity. Joining the Inland Sports Team could be the opportunity that you've been looking for.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Inland Sports Show. And again, we've been talking about the first round of the CIF Southern Section football playoffs. But when you talk volleyball, we're all ready to the championship matches. The finals will take place this weekend. We've got a couple local teams from the Inland Sports Show coverage area playing for titles. One of them in Division 9, Moreno Valley, the Vikings setting sail on a D9 title. Joining us here on the show, we got Coach Snell, Coach Strawn joining us. And wow, it's been already a Cinderella season for Moval. And guys, as we go into the finals, and Coach Snell, I'll start with you. What has made this group, this team special this year? What do you think has been the key all season long to get to this point, to get a chance to win a CIF Southern Section title?
Mostly that they all get along really well. There's lots of communication, and they all truly like each other. It doesn't always happen that way.
Coach Snell, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time that Moval has, or they've never won a CIF title, right, in girls volleyball. This is the first time you've gone to the finals?
Correct. The farthest we've gone was a couple years ago. We went quarterfinals. And so this year, we're already 2 games ahead of that.
You know, and I'm going to get to Coach Strawn in just a moment, but Coach Snell, when I was looking at the brackets, you know, the first 3 rounds, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. Then you beat your in-town rival Canyon Springs in the semis in 4 sets. During this playoff run, do you feel like this volleyball team is playing its best volleyball of the season right now in the playoffs?
Yes, of course. They're showing up every time. We have a few mistakes here and there, and go back, hit the ground, grind at practice and fix those things and go back stronger the next game.
You know, Coach Strawn, going into the championship match, you guys will play Rosemead in the D9 finals. Of course, you're going to scout the other team. You want to see what they do and where they're strong at. I believe that they're the number 1 seed as well, right, in D9. Yeah. So,
Yes.
but Coach Strawn, do you feel like it's more about what you guys do, what the Vikings do, as opposed to maybe what Rosemead's going to do?
Correct. We've always taught our girls we're playing against ourselves. It doesn't matter who's out there, who's on the other side of the court. We end up playing against ourselves. As long as we're not making mistakes, nobody can beat us. We're going to be the top team every single time because we've already been trained to play against ourselves, and we're going to be the best self every time we're on that court.
Coach Strawn, what do you think, I know because as we tape this interview, the show will air on Wednesday night, but we're doing this on Monday night. What do you think the battle cry, the message will be all week long throughout practice leading up to the championship match in terms of, obviously this is a big moment. This is the championship. This is what you guys play for. But do you also try to, in a way, downplay it and say, girls, we've been doing this all season long. Don't change anything now. Let's just, business as usual. Let's go out there and take care of our business. So what do you think the message will be all week long, Coach Strawn?
Since we've started season, we had a couple goals set out for us, and one was going to win CIF. And so the girls have that in their mind focus, go get that. And so it's just another game for us. And we're not done until we go get that ring. The girls want the ring this year.
And it's kind of funny because we won quarterfinals and first time going to semis. And after the game, we didn't feel we had a very good match ourselves. We didn't play up to where our standards are. And after the game, instead of everybody cheering and screaming and excited they're going to go farther than any other team, we're like, let's get on the bus, go get food, and go home. Like it didn't even faze them this time because they're on to the next one. And they really wanted Canyon, and we're like, okay, but if we get Canyon, you better make sure that you're ready to go. And so they played that game like it was a championship game.
I wanted to ask you about that as well, Coach Snell, because obviously we want to talk about the championship match, but looking back on the semis just for a moment, playing your in-town rival, Canyon Springs, you said it felt like a championship match. I mean, was it important to the program, to your players, to obviously punch your ticket to the finals, but do it against Canyon Springs?
Yeah, the first time we played, they're in our league.
Yeah.
And so the first time we played them, we didn't have one of our front row players. And we had our libero. And then the second time, our libero got injured the weekend before the game. And so it just messed with the psyche of our team big time. And so we just did not play well. That we were in our heads. We couldn't accomplish what we needed to for that game. And so leaving the season, and it took away a possibility of a tie for first place. And then we came back and beat the number 1 team in our league, who's Division 7, and they were undefeated. And we beat them on the following game without our libero. And so the girls, all they wanted to do was win that game. It wasn't even about first place, second place, or anything like that. And so they got that goal done, and they went crazy after that game. And I think that was a turning point for us because they realized they could play without the libero, that particular libero, and could actually come back and do so well. And if we could beat a Division 7 team, then we should be good to go for our Division 9. And being that Canyon is a crosstown rival, they did not want to lose that game to them. We wanted a home game. We wanted to come back and do what we did the first time. And we did.
Coach, speaking of Canyon Springs, obviously that league was tough. Orange Vista's tough. But when I looked at your non-league schedule, I mean, you guys were certainly battle tested. Is there something to be said for that? Having maybe some ups and downs through non-league play and trying to figure some things out and playing some really good competition to kind of get you ready for this spot, to get you ready for a championship match. Is that fair to say, having that tough non-league schedule?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. With such a young team to begin with, we're like, all right, we're going to have our good games, our bad games, but we're going to learn. And, when we competed with the, Division 4, Division 5, Division 6 teams, 7, and, we barely losing to them, we just kept in mind, like, look, we're Division 9, we're hanging with these teams. You guys, we got it. We just got to fix little things here and there and we'll be fine. And so they just trusted the process. of it. And, I didn't care who we played in the preseason, but having a stronger preseason has definitely helped us to be where we're at right now.
Let me ask you real quick about Rosemead as we wrap this up. I know you guys have, I think, a meeting to get to, and I don't want to make you late, so this is the last question. So Rosemead, the top seed in Division 9, but we talked about you guys just taking care of your own business on your side of the net. What do you think the Vikings have to do well on Friday night? I believe it's Friday night, to bring home. Oh, it's Saturday?
Yes.
On Saturday. I think Max Preps has it on Friday still. But what do you have to do on Saturday to bring home a CIF Southern Section title? What do the Vikes have to do well?
Go ahead.
Make sure we're keeping our serves in and picking up on serve receive. As long as we could pass that ball and let our senior setter, Venus Bush, set the balls to our front row. I mean, we have it. We have the components to go get the championship, and the girls want it. So that's what we're going to do.
And Rosemead is a very scrappy team. They play everything. And so we just have to come out stronger at the beginning and just really play our game. And again, like Strawn said, we're playing against ourselves at this point. We need to do the stuff that we have been working on and not worry so much. I mean, obviously we're going to see what the other team prepare for the other team, but we are also playing our game. Mm-hmm. Are we executing what we've been practicing? And we'll come out the victors. I mean, that's the plan.
Well, Coach Snell, Coach Strawn, listen, I really appreciate the time. Obviously, it's a big week for the Moreno Valley volleyball team going into the finals this weekend against Rosemead in Division 9. Hopefully, the Vikings bring home the Division 9 championship. Oh, and don't forget the state tournament as well. So there's still a lot of volleyball in front of you guys.
Absolutely. Yes. We're very excited about it. So.
Well, thank you,
Come
Coach.
out and watch, 6 o'clock Sunday, Moreno Valley High School. Saturday, Moreno Valley High School.
I know you guys got to get to your meeting, but that's a pretty cool thing as well because, usually, they might have a neutral site, for the championship matches, but you guys, Moval's the spot, right? It's popping off.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Coach Snell, Coach Strawn.
Everything's new, remodeled, everything else, so it's a great place to be.
Let's pack the place. There's only a couple local teams playing, so check out Moval this Saturday night as they take on Rosemead for the Division 9 championship. Coaches, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We're going to run along, and you can as well. Right. Thank you for the time.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
You got it. That's Coach Snell and Coach Strawn from Moreno Valley Girls Volleyball playing for the Division 9 championship. All right, you guys can log off Zoom. There they go. And, we got a couple local teams that have made it to the finals, and that would be pretty special if Moreno Valley can get that title for the first time ever in school history. And they're hosting on campus, so that's pretty neat as well. Big thanks to Ramona Girls Soccer. We also had Josh Giles, Centennial Boys Basketball coach, here on the show. And, of course, next week we'll talk more high school football. We did a lot tonight. We'll do more next week as we get a little bit closer, another round closer to the championship games. For Johnny Nunez here at Team Vision TV 16, my name is Pep Fernandez. God bless you. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show.